So with the flu season on top of COVID-19, are we going to have enough energy and enough healthcare workers to handle this? Dr. Matt Chalmers is going to join us. Chalmers Wellness. He knows all about this, been a good guest of this program, and we welcome Dr. Chalmers back. How are you on this glorious Thursday, Doc?
I'm doing well. How are you, sir?
I'm well. Knock on wood, knock on Formica right here, but flu season is coming, and there are a lot of people, frankly, that have been running like hell from their doctors and from pharmacies and places like that during the COVID. And now I'm wondering, will they run back to get a flu vaccine? They almost have to, don't they?
If they want to get vaccinated, there's multiple different ways that they're actually talking about doing it. Obviously, going to your doctor, your pharmacy works. They're talking about setting up vans and RVs to do this, kind of like they do like Carter does for blood draws. So they're talking about doing it that way as well, roaming vans of doctors to give out vaccines if people want and need them is on the horizon.
So let's talk about the difference between COVID-19 and a flu, because somebody can come down with a flu, which is bad enough. I mean, it kills up to 50, 60,000 people a year. How can you tell the difference between COVID and the flu?
It's really the easiest way to tell is through an actual blood test. A lot of the symptomatology is very similar. That's why when it was early on, people would get tested for the flu. They'd test negative for the flu, and they'd say, "But doc, I feel terrible. What do I have?" And the doctor would say, "You have the flu." It's like, "But I tested negative." Well, all the symptoms are showing up for the flu, so it must be the flu. So before we knew what COVID was, we always thought it was the flu. That's how similar they are.
Okay, so it is. It's going now. We have the swabs now and the saliva and all that. It's going to take a blood test to make that delineation, and for some people, that might be something that needs to be done here in the next couple of months, right?
Yeah, if they're trying to figure out, one, if they have the antibodies, or two, if they actually have COVID-19 infection, those are going to be, you're going to need to do those pretty quick to figure out where you stand on it.
You know, you're a doctor. You deal in wellness. What kind of flu season are we looking at this year? Is it tough to predict? Do you sense it being as bad as it's been in the last couple of years? What do you sense we're going to get from the flu season?
You know, this year is going to be impossible for anyone to predict, because all the things that we want people to do to avoid the flu, we've really been hammering on for COVID. We want you to wash your hands. We want you to, get more rest, drink more water, take more D3. And people are starting to really kind of do these things because of COVID. They've also been inside for a long time, so their immune systems are weaker. And so, they're also not going to they're going to try to avoid being around people a little bit more. So every single variable that we look at for infection is in flux now. So it's going to be almost impossible to predict. What I'm predicting is that because people are more looking for COVID, a lot of people who go in for the flu are going to be told they have COVID. And so what's going to end up happening is the diagnoses are going to be, yes, you have COVID, instead of you have the flu, without doing testing.
Now, let's just say that there's a vaccine that's developed and it's available in November, which I think is pushing it. But for the sake of this question, let's say there's a vaccine that is developed by then. Is it going to be okay to get a flu vaccine and then a COVID vaccine on top of it, or would those two work at cross purposes?
The true answer to that is that we don't fully know. And the reason that I say this, I'm very conservative with medications. I love, working with the hormone therapy. I'm a big fan of vaccines. I'm a big fan of all these things. However, whenever something new comes on the market, we do not know for a fact how it's going to react with other medications and things like that. So for the vast majority of time, if they come out and the doctor says, yes, they're safe to take together, we have a pretty good indication they will be, but we don't know for a fact how they're going to react to their drugs until they've been in the marketplace for a little while.
But you seemed, from an earlier answer, Doctor, you seemed like you thought there would be enough of a flu vaccine. Sometimes, they run out, or sometimes there's a lag in being able to get it. But with these pop-up sites that you talked about and vans going around, it would seem to me that you believe there'll be enough of this flu vaccine.
I do believe that there's going to be enough flu vaccine. The issue that we're actually getting into is for the people who want it. Now states are starting to mandate it, which I think brings up a whole nother line of questioning. But that might, if it's mandated, and instead of 10 people wanting it, you're forcing 20 people to take it, we might start to see shortages in that case.
Yeah, you're right. It leads to a whole other line of questioning, and a lot of it would be legality. Dr. Matt Chalmers, always great catching up with you. You can find him at Chalmers, CHALMERS, wellness.com. Thank you, Doctor.
Absolutely. Thank you.